Out of the Darkness, The Mystery of Aaron Rodgers is a book about the most mysterious and polarizing figure in the modern-day NFL. Its author, Ian O'Connor, has written autobiographies about some of sports' most influential and dominating athletes of all time. And Ian joins us now to talk about the book and the mystifying world of another all-time great. Ian, thanks for joining us, man. I just got to know, you wrote books with Bill Belichick, Coach K, Derek Jeter, Aaron Rodgers. What was it about Aaron Rodgers that made you want to write a book on him?
Actually, Brandon, I was scheduled to write a book about LeBron James, and another book, unbeknownst to me, was in the works and coming out. And at the same time, so I thought there might be some LeBron fatigue. And at the same time, Aaron Rodgers was traded into our backyard here in the New York area. And I thought he's the most polarizing player in the league. He is arguably the most prominent American male athlete who hasn't had a defining bio written about him. So I essentially traded LeBron for Aaron. And hopefully readers will see it to be a fairly good trade. Vince Lombardi coached at my high school. So I've always he lived Lombardi 8 houses away from the house I grew up in Englewood, New Jersey. So I always had a fascination with the Packers and their mystique and aura. So I had a Packers book in me at some point, and this is the one.
Packers were my favorite football team growing up. Aaron Rodgers on the field is one of the best quarterbacks of all time off the field. I don't know what his reputation or how people look at him. I guess it just all depends. So what are some of the most surprising things you learned about him during the research and the writing process?
I think if people followed him in the media the last few years and that's how they consume their information about him, they would think that Aaron Rodgers is a guy who's wildly unpopular in all corners of the NFL, but that's not really true. I talked to a very prominent person in the league who's been in the league for a long time, who knows hundreds upon hundreds of players. And although he personally did not like Rodgers from afar and did not like his positions on things like the vaccine, he said, I have to admit, I've never met an NFL player who doesn't like him. And that's never a part of the public discussion when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why, because he spends the most amount of time with his teammates. But yeah, he's pretty much universally respected and admired by his teammates in Green Bay and now, of course, with the Jets.
His family dynamics have been a big headline recently. What insights did you learn about what happened between Aaron and his parents and why their relationship is so strained?
It's not just his parents, it's his siblings as well. Some close friends have been excommunicated from his life over the years. And everyone's looking for a simple answer, one defined thing that happened. And it's really, as I've called it, a death by 1,000 cuts. There's a bunch of things. And the parents put a lot of blame at the feet of Olivia Munn, who he was dating in 2014 when the estrangement started, but he hasn't dated her in 7 years. So I think that's a bit unfair. There are other issues. Aaron thought that his generosity wasn't fully appreciated by family members. He thought that the family really revolved around his success a little bit too much. There were issues he had with his brothers, and they had issues with him that seem petty and fairly minor and don't add up to a nearly 10-year estrangement. So I have a scene in the book where he comes together with his father last summer at Lake Tahoe at the celebrity golf tournament. They hug, they say, I love you to each other. And hopefully that's the first baby step towards ultimately a reconciliation with the family.
What do you hope readers come away with after they finish your new book?
Just that he's a very complex individual. He is a contrarian. And I just think there's a lot more to Aaron Rodgers than what you have consumed in the media over the last 3 or 4 years. The COVID thing changed his life. Those 4 words, yeah, I've been immunized. He's never recovered from that public relations hit. But a lot of his friends I've talked to, his close associates over the years, said that they're frustrated by that. And there's so many acts of kindness and generosity, and Aaron being so good to children, sick kids, and that they shared those stories with me. And I think one thing that readers will take out of this book is that that's part of his life too. There's a lot of goodness there behind the scenes, and you need that, or I did, to really paint a portrait of a human being in full.
What do you think he does after football? What do you think Aaron Rodgers, the businessman, or maybe the dad, or what does Aaron Rodgers do when he hangs up the cleats?
Oh, well, 2 things, Brandon. He wants to become a dad, and I think he'll be a very good dad. Just seeing him around the kids of his friends, and they all agree. They think he's going to be a very, very good father, despite the fact that he is estranged from his father. So I think that's the next stage of his life, and he has said that. Also, I think even though he hasn't expressed much interest in it, I think he'll end up being a terrific analyst in some network booth. When he's talking football, there's nobody better that I've ever heard do it. And he's off the charts when it comes to breaking down a game. So even though he hasn't expressed a tremendous amount of interest in becoming a broadcaster, I think he'll be really good. I think he'll do it, and he'll be one of the best at it.
Plug the book, Ian. Where can people find it, and when does it come out?
Well, it comes out officially Tuesday, but it's on Amazon.com for pre-sale right now. And I hope readers see it for what I intended it to be, a fair and honest appraisal of a significant life.
Thanks for joining us, Ian.
Thanks, Brandon, as always.